Hello from the Channel studio in London and welcome to another edition of Foreign Dispatches, the programme that takes you around the world in 25 minutes. I'm Teniola Oyetayo. On the programme this week, wildfires continue to cause chaos in Europe, burning thousands of acres and prompting widespread evacuation. Plus, US President Joe Biden inspects Hawaii wildfire damage as search for victims continue. Wildfires continue to cause chaos in Europe as firefighters tackle blazes in scorching heat. Devastating blazes this week in central Greece left at least 2 people dead, while the bodies of 18 people were also found in a burnt forest. Greece's recent wildfires comes after the country already battled significant blazes in July. As Europe's summer of extremes continues, more than 20 countries are under heat warnings, with temperatures reaching record-breaking levels in some areas. After a respite from the scorching heat and fires of July, a new heat wave has hit southern Europe. Hundreds of firefighters struggling to contain a number of blazes in Greece. Fanned by gale force winds, the fires discovered on Saturday quickly spread, covering the city of Alexandroupolis in smoke and turning the night sky bright red.
The fires reached the entire village. Our own house up there, where the fire started, is completely burned down. There is nothing left. Now it's descending downwards.
It happened so fast. The tragic thing is that at 8:30 in the morning, when I got home from work, there was no smoke. There was no firefighting service, nothing at all. If we had acted fast, things would have been very different.
At least 18 burned bodies were found in the remote village of Avantas in northern Greece on Tuesday, an area where wildfires have been raging for days. Nearby on the same day, dozens of hospital patients, including newborn babies, were evacuated overnight as flames approached. A ferry was turned into a makeshift hospital, where elderly patients lay on mattresses on the cafeteria floor and paramedics tended to others on stretchers.
I've been working for 27 years. I've never seen anything like this. It's like war conditions, really. Stretchers everywhere, patients here, IV drips here. It was like a war, like a bomb had exploded. We prioritized the most serious cases first. The premature babies were the first to be evacuated.
Summer wildfires in Greece are common, but have been made worse in recent years by unusually hot, dry, and windy conditions that scientists have linked to climate change. In other parts of Europe, authorities urge residents to avoid the heat as France, Italy, Spain, and elsewhere suffered hot, dry, and windy conditions. Fire crews battled blazes on the Spanish island of Tenerife for almost a week, but the authorities there believe the worst is now behind them. The fires burned through thousands of acres of land and forced the evacuation of more than 12,000 people, according to the regional government. Italy issued hot weather red alerts in 16 of the country's 27 main cities on Tuesday. This included Rome, Milan, and Florence.
It's really hard for me, and that's why I'm putting my sunscreen. In Germany, it's not so hot, and it's rainy and it's stormy, and here it's really hard for me because I'm not used to this weather.
I think it's okay at the moment, but considering it's not even 10 o'clock in the morning, I'm a bit concerned about what it will be like later in the day, and it's very humid today as well.
Honestly, it's extremely hot. I don't have the AC in my apartment yet. Haven't installed it, and I don't know, I have a ventilator, trying to survive, not going out on the streets like between 12 and 5 or 6 usually, and I'm really hoping it's over. This is the last heat wave.
In France, temperatures on Monday soared to a record high of 42.4 degrees Celsius. 4 southern regions were placed under red alert, the most serious warning. Scientists are clear that the kind of extreme weather Europe and other parts of the northern hemisphere are experiencing this summer will only become more common and more severe as humans continue to burn planet-heating fossil fuels. July was the planet's hottest month on record, and scientists found that the heat wave that scorched the Mediterranean, as well as parts of the United States, would have been virtually impossible without the human-caused climate change. Over to the United States now. The search for victims of the country's deadliest wildfire in more than a century is still ongoing on the Hawaiian island of Maui. At least 114 people have been confirmed dead, but hundreds more remain missing as loved ones desperately wait for answers. Maui native Tim Laborde returned to the island over the weekend in search of his missing stepfather, bringing with him a backpack full of missing posters. He's one of a number of people still searching for loved ones after the wildfires, the worst disaster in Hawaii state history and the deadliest in the United States in more than a century.
We don't know if he might have left early, but ran into another area where it was bad or so, and they might have diverted him back, and he might have been going around in a circle. So it's been kind of weird because you kind of think, oh, he's fine because he left early enough, but then you get this other story where people are saying that, oh, people that were being diverted back and they're just going around in like a circle in the fire. So it's been kind of weird. You have hope, and then it gets kind of tempered a bit when people tell you something like that.
So far, Hawaiian authorities have confirmed that the fires have killed at least 114 people on the island. But only a few of those have been identified, and hundreds more are still unaccounted for, as search for human remains continues, leaving many in a state of uncertainty and grief over 2 weeks later.
So as we're working through these searches, we've been given information or we've identified areas that need to be searched with the canines. And some of the areas are not accessible completely to the canines, so we use the heavy equipment to delayer the structures in order to allow the dogs to come in and confirm whether there's victims there or not.
Big search area, devastating fire. I've not seen anything like this in my entire 30 years in the fire service. And been to some pretty significant incidents, and the intensity, the population density, all those things combined have got us where we are today.
Residents are struggling to navigate the aftermath of the disaster as blazes not only engulfed their houses, but dealt a heavy blow to local businesses, depriving them of their jobs. In the hardest hit town of Lahaina, there's still a long way to getting back to normal life.
I am a nanny and I'm out of work because the governor had everybody not come, and so now I don't have any work. The restaurants have laid a ton of people off. Hotels have had to lay off the cleaners because there just isn't jobs if we don't have visitors here. It is so surreal right now to look out my window at home and see the beauty around me and the trees and the sky and the ocean And yet 20 miles away from me is completely devastated, and it looks like a war zone. There is nothing left of the city at all, of Lahaina, and it's just so sad to all of us that are down here.
US President Joe Biden visited the region on Monday. As he stood by a historic 150-year-old banyan tree that survived the blaze, he told members of the community that the rest of America stood by them and promised federal aid.
The tree survived for a reason. I believe it's a very powerful symbol of what we can and will do to get through this crisis. And for as long as it takes, we're going to be with you. The whole country will be with you. We will be respectful of the sacred grounds and the traditions that rebuild the way the people of Maui want to build, not the way others want to build. We're going to rebuild the way the people of Maui want to build. But it's going to be hard. But I also want all of you to know the country grieves with you, stands with you, and will do everything possible to help you recover, rebuild, and respect culture and traditions when the rebuilding takes place.
After assessing the devastation, the US president met with victims and attended a community event where he spoke about his own history of loss, losing his wife and young daughter in a car accident.
I can only imagine what it's like to lose your home completely, burned to the ground, and more importantly, all the things that matter to you. Many of you have lost family, not even sure where some are. I've had a similar experience, and I got a phone call from my fire department saying they had to come home immediately. There'd been an accident. A tractor trailer had broadsided my wife Christmas shopping with my 3 children. She was killed, my baby was killed, and my 2 boys were thought not to make it initially. So I have a little bit of a sense what it's like driving from Washington to Wilmington, 150 miles, wondering what in God's name is it going to be like when I get to the hospital. Only thing worse than losing someone is not sure whether you've lost someone. Not sure whether my heart goes out to you, Jill and I, it aches for you, those of you who are trying to determine whether or not the person who is missing and unaccounted for reasons that are devastating.
President Biden, who is seeking re-election in 2024, has been criticized by some Republicans and others for his initial response to the Maui fires. He went several days without speaking about the tragedy while vacationing at his Delaware beach house.
For us in Hawaii, we've always felt that people have felt entitled to our land. They have felt entitled to us, to our culture, and now they're feeling very entitled to our grief. And while the attention is warranted given the magnitude of the tragedy, his words will be hollow unless there's action behind it. So when he says, "I'm behind you, Washington is behind you, the country is behind you," we all hope that those words come true.
The fast-moving Maui bushfire, fueled by wind gusts of up to 80 miles per hour, raced down the slope of an extinct volcano and into the town of Lahaina on August the 8th, destroying or damaging 2,200 buildings and causing an estimated $5.5 billion in damage. When Foreign Dispatches returns in just a moment, firefighters continue to battle blazes in Canada amid its worst wildfire season on record. More details after the break. Please stay with us. Thanks for staying with us on the program. Canada has sent military units to help tackle wildfires that have forced thousands of people to leave their homes. Hundreds of fires are threatening cities in British Columbia and the Northwest Territories. Cooler weather is helping firefighters to make progress, but there's already destruction on a huge scale.
The western province of Canada has been battling for days the latest round of blazes that have led to evacuation orders for more than 35,000 people.
The federal government is continuing to step up. We're there with Canadian Armed Forces resources. We're active in coordinating with regional and local governments to make sure people are safe, make sure we're doing everything to protect lives and property. But there's a lot more to do, and we're going to continue to stay focused on that.
British Columbia declared a state of emergency last week and later banned non-essential travel to free up lodging for evacuees and firefighters. It's also urged drone operators and others capturing images of the blazes to steer clear of rescue workers.
We are declaring a provincial state of emergency to ensure that we have rapid access to any tools that we may need to respond to this situation. And these tools are necessary to support communities, to support families, and support those brave frontline workers who are battling the fires in our forests and in our communities.
A provincial state of emergency allows us to compel resources from unwilling partners or uncooperative partners. I will say right now, we are having enormous levels of cooperation across the board from all corners of the province, which is largely why we haven't required a provincial state of emergency before. But given the rapidly evolving situation that we now find ourselves in, we can foresee some of those extraordinary orders that may be helpful to us in our response, and we want to be ready to be able to use them at a moment's notice.
The fires in British Columbia showed some signs of easing on Sunday, giving hope to firefighters who have been at the forefront battling the blazes. However, authorities are warning of a long road to recovery.
Although the road ahead is still immensely challenging, we are fortunate that the weather forecast is more positive for most areas. There's also some rain possible for southern British Columbia in the coming days.
For British Columbians, we need everybody to really do their part right now. Listen to and respect the travel order. It is critical that we keep the roads clear, that we keep the hotels available for people, and be cautious out there. It's a very dangerous and fluid situation still.
Severe fires are also burning around Yellowknife in the Northwest Territories.
When we are driving, both of the highway side, it's burned down so that all trees are black. I think it's the internet line or fiber lines, poles are down, and we still see smokes coming out because we got forest fire coming to the city, so I'm really worried.
13.7 million hectares of land have been scorched nationwide this year, with smoky haze extending as far as the U.S. East Coast and New York City in June. Forest fires are not uncommon in Canada, but the spread of these blazes and disruptions they've caused highlight the severity of Canada's worst fire season yet, which has killed at least 4 firefighters.
And finally, we end the program on a much lighter note. Dubai in the United Arab Emirates is known for luxurious lifestyles, and with a growing economy, it's no surprise many young people across the world flock in to make their dreams come true. For many young Nigerians, finding love is a different matter altogether. Our next story captures the voices of young adults navigating the dating scene in the City of Gold. Take a look.
Dubai is to many young and ambitious youths the perfect backdrop of glitz and glamour, daily inspiring them to pursue success in their various endeavors. But for young Nigerians who call this city home, the journey to finding lasting love can be a challenging one. The dating scene is intriguing, where varying expectations and the transient nature of residency can complicate matters.
Everybody here is on transit. I always tell people, so many people don't have the mindset of keeping relationship while in Dubai. Why? Some people are here married, but you won't know. Why some people already have kids, they're just here to make money. So finding relationship has been a bit challenging. But I discovered something: when people see that you're focused, you attract people who are like you. So that's what I discovered. There are people who are also like you, who are focused, who actually know what you're doing right here. So if you are a focused person, you will find people who think alike. So your relationship can easily start in that aspect. But if you are not a focused person, probably you are into the streets, you don't have a career you're pursuing or a skill, then it's going to be difficult for you to find relationship. But in general, everybody here is on transit. So it's very difficult to find people who are settled.
The allure of Dubai's opulent lifestyle draws people from all walks of life, creating a melting pot of cultures and aspirations. But how does this affect the dating scene? Iremide George is a fashion entrepreneur working on a brand Benedizion. She says being open-minded is the key.
Building relationships here can be a bit tricky in the sense that you tend to make really good friends. But for people of my race, Dubai is a passing phase. So some people come here, or most people actually come here for 8-10 years and then they move to another country. So you could be friends with someone today, you make a friend and you guys are friends for a year or 2 years, and then the next minute the person is up and out of here completely. It really is difficult finding someone of your own race here. Personally, I think to date and be successful in dating here, you have to be very open-minded.
But love stories do flourish amidst the skyscrapers and luxury malls. Meet Timothy and Toby, a Nigerian couple who did the unusual by getting married few months after meeting in church.
Because we had found each other, it didn't make sense to build separately. I think what was in our head at that time was, now that we're sure that we're meant to be together, let's build together. Because we are already where we are. If we decide to start to do it individually, it might take longer and it might be harder. So when we come together, the bills can be in one place, we can put our heads together and, build from there. So the drive was more of, we can do this thing together. And it's a great opportunity starting from scratch, right? This is a clean slate here. You're starting from ground zero.
You need to go out, meet people. And one important community setting is the church. Yes, we have some bad eggs, but at least there's a high chance of you finding the right egg.
In this pursuit of love, some turn to professionals for assistance. Here we have Eileen Kana, one of Dubai's first certified matchmakers, who has insights into these unique challenges.
If you don't have money in common, what else do you have in common? Do you have ambition that's in common? And share that path, share that journey. Learn from each other so that you help build each other's lives, you help build each other's wealth, instead of saying, I want a plug-and-play solution. I think that is a very dangerous slope to get on, because then the power dynamic, once again, is extremely too wide. And you don't really have much, because once the physical attraction comes and people lose their attractiveness, maybe their muscles or any of these things, even their height. Let's say you take your heels off as you get older, or as you have children, those type of things, those superficial things fall away really quickly.
It's clear that while this city offers glitz and glamour, the path to finding love is a journey that unfolds differently for its residents. For the young Nigerians in this vibrant metropolis, their pursuit of lasting relationships continues to be a captivating chapter in their stories. From Dubai in the United Arab Emirates, Mayowa Adegoke for Foreign Dispatches.
And that's the program today, but remember, our top stories are never far away. You can catch them on channelstv.com. Thank you for watching. I'm Teniola Oyetayo. Bye for now.